We've been hitched since 2000, together since late 90s, and that's a long haul. She's the sharpest, kindest, most big-hearted and faithful gal I've ever met. I've always felt like I hit the jackpot meeting her and tying the knot. Even now, she's a stunner, and guys have been tossing compliments her way our whole marriage. She's always brushed him off without a second thought. Then, earlier this year, the doc dropped a bomb, stage 2 uterine cancer, and she went through a full hysterectomy. I wasn't too rattled about it since they caught it early, knocked it out fast, and she bounced back like a champ. I took some time off work to play nurse after her surgery, and everything seemed peachy. Sure, she had a few emotional moments, which I figured were par for the course, and even though I'm not the mushy type, we tackle them side by side. Once she was back on her feet, she got this fire to live life big, dragged me on a 14-day romp through Europe, then off to the Bahamas. We've even got an Italy, France, and Greece trip lined up later this year. I'm cool with all that, making memories, checking off her bucket list, mine too, whatever she wants to call it. I get that she's feeling a little shaky after everything, and I'm on board. She even jumped into yoga, swimming, and healthy cooking classes, full steam ahead. I was all in until last week wrecked everything. She strolls in from work and lays it out. She's craving a one-time fling with some other guy, not me. She says the cancer flipped a switch in her head, and now she's done being tied down from chasing what she wants. She spilled that there's this fella at her office she's always kinda liked. He's about to bounce from the company for good, so she figures it's her golden ticket to step out. She told me I could nix it if I wanted, but if I did, she'd be ticked off and bummed out for who knows how long. Oh, and it'd prove I'm some toxic, insecure jerk. I don't think I'm toxic, and if it's insecure to not want my wife of over 20 years messing around, then fine, label me that. I let her know I appreciated the heads up, but twisting my arm into saying yes ain't real consent. Plus, I wasn't thrilled with her throwing around words like toxic about how I might react to this giant mess that could shake up our whole marriage and life. Next morning, she flips the script, says she's sorry for dumping this huge choice on me, and, to fix it, she's taking it out of my hands. She booked a hotel near her coworker's big send-off bash for this guy, plans to spend the night there with him, and hopes I'll still be around when she waltzes back. She'll fill me in on whatever I want to know after it's done, but not a peep beforehand. She's keeping his name and details under lock and key, cause she knows I'd fixate on him. Spot on, honestly. Her take is that the less I know, the better, which doesn't jive with her ask me anything later line. I reckon she's banking on me not wanting to hear a thing, or she'll just dodge it anyway. There's this piece of me thinking, hey, at least she's being straight with me. She's been through the ringer with cancer, so maybe I should just let it slide. I can't wrap my head around what she endured, so who am I to brush off how it scrambled her mind and her take on life? But then there's this other chunk of me itching to slam the brakes and say, no way, this ain't happening. Then face whatever fallout comes. Her best friend rang me up, called me cold-hearted for even hinting I'd block it, saying I've got no clue what my wife's been through. I can't fathom her being okay with torching over 20 years of marriage for some random work buddy, and maybe I should just call her bluff. Could be she's betting I won't ditch our marriage over one slip-up either. I'm stuck, man, I don't know what to do. One second, I'm feeling for her. The next, I'm steaming mad. Part of me's dying to figure out who this guy is. What's he look like? What's he got that's got her so hooked? Is he just an easy pick? Married too? Does his wife have a clue? Am I a heartless dope for wanting to say no? What's my move here besides walking out the door? Long story short, my wife fought cancer, beat it, but now she's set on a one-night fling with some dude she used to work with, and I'm supposed to just nod and take it or watch 20-plus awesome years go up in smoke. Somebody chimed in with a comment that stuck with me. They reckon this is how my marriage is gonna roll from here on out. With her big, life's too short, wake-up call, she's hell-bent on reliving her glory days, and my feelings don't seem to factor in one bit. To me, she's acting pretty darn selfish, probably banking on me being too worn out to push back, and figuring I'll just roll over. Maybe now's not the time for fancy trips and bucket list fluff. She's craving that single life vibe. Well, let her taste what that's really like. She's convinced that since this guy's about to vanish from her world and I've never crossed paths with him, supposedly, it won't leave a lasting mark on me or our marriage. So here I am, stuck picking between swallowing it and never seeing her the same way or facing a divorce at 53. Neither choice feels like a winner. I can't get a read on where her mind's at. Cancer's clearly flipped her world in ways I can't even wrap my head around. I don't think she believes I'd actually walk away. Here's the update, folks. A flood of advice poured in, way too much for me to reply to every single one. I'm real grateful to everyone who took a minute to drop some wisdom in the comments or shoot me a private message. These last few days have wiped me out. I was hoping my flat-out no would make her think twice, but nope, no dice. I told her I'm dead set against it and I don't even know how I'll feel about her if she goes through with it. She just hit me back with, this is for me, my thing. It's just one night, she says. What can I do to help you handle it? You'll get past it. We're meant to be, no matter what. That's the kind of stuff she kept tossing my way all the way up to Saturday. She took off Saturday, supposedly to hang with her coworkers, but let's be real, it was to meet up with that guy. I asked her to shoot me a text when she headed to the bar, and when she did, I flat out asked if she was seriously doing this. Her reply? I'm done answering questions tonight. Catch you tomorrow. So, I blocked her number. Then I did something maybe dumb, maybe genius. I headed down to that bar where her crew was throwing the party. Not inside, mind you, just parked myself on a transit bench across the street. I sat there for what felt like forever. All the build-up to that moment had me obsessed with figuring out who this dude was, maybe sizing myself up against him, wondering what he's got that I'm missing. Not knowing who he was or why he's worth taking our marriage over was eating me alive. After ages of waiting, I spotted a lady I knew from my wife's office step out and hop in a cab. Then more folks trickled out, and a big group spilled onto the sidewalk, hugging some guy, shaking his hand. I figured, that's gotta be him. My wife wasn't in sight, and for a split second, I thought maybe she'd backed off. I unblocked her, no messages waiting. Everyone else peeled off, leaving just this dude lingering outside. Then out she comes, scans the street, grabs his hand, and they start strolling off together. I cycled through nerves, heartbreak, and rage, but disgust? That's what really hit me square in the chest. This guy was short, hefty, and bald, stuff I can't even try to measure up to. In the end, I felt like some creep spying from the shadows. I trailed them till they hit the hotel, then turned tail and hauled myself home. Sunday morning, I woke up and slapped a lock on the master bedroom door. I hauled her stuff into the spare room and scribbled a note telling her to find a new place to crash ASAP. I swung by a buddy's place, he's a lawyer, and he dropped some solid advice, hooked me up with a couple divorce attorney names, and made the intros. My wife's been blowing up my phone since around 11 a.m. With her blocked, it all funnels to voicemail. I played the first couple messages, nothing but a little smug satisfaction hearing her freak out when I wouldn't pick up, her worry starting to creep in. I wasn't keen on heading home, but I bolted out so fast I hadn't packed a proper overnight bag. I rolled in around 9 p.m., and on my buddy's tip, I hit record on my phone to capture whatever went down. I was halfway up the stairs when she popped out of the family room, asking what's up and if we could hash things out. Didn't we already cover this? She said. I just shot back. I'm not in the mood to chat tonight, and trudged off to bed. She tried knocking, got no answer, and eventually left me be. I'll admit, I felt a bit like a kid dodging her and slamming the door, but looking her in the eye? Couldn't do it. Monday morning, I got up, suited up for work, and there she was, waiting, asking if we could figure out how to get things back to normal. You've been doing enough talking for both of us this past week, I said. Why don't you keep it going? Then I hightailed it to the office. I've got a meeting lined up this week with those divorce lawyers my friend hooked me up with. Short version, she went through with it, and weirdly, I'm more grossed out by the guy she picked than the act itself, if that even adds up. I told her to find a new place to crash. Oh, and heads up, watch out for that BFF, she's not looking out for you. That best friend of hers? She's all about justifying her own lousy moves by egging you on to copy her. She thrives on stirring the pot and gets a kick out of the juicy details. That BFF's a misery farmer, she's hooked on drama. Total narcissist too, can't help herself, spouting stuff like, go for it, you've earned it. He doesn't get you, doesn't respect you. In my case, it was, you stared death in the face. Don't let anyone stop you from chasing what lights you up. Maybe the real move is sitting down with your partner, laying out what's swirling in your head. You owe them a straight-up talk about how you're feeling about yourself, them, and the whole marriage deal. Looking back, once the storm calmed down, it hit me, I was clinging to something that's long gone. I've kicked off the divorce process. She's got regret, sure, but not remorse, two different beasts, trust me. She's bummed cause her world's flipped upside down now, not cause she's truly sorry. Someone slid into my DMs asking if her cancer might have come back, maybe spread to her brain. I've got no clue if that's true, but at this point, it wouldn't change how I feel. She's just not the same person in my eyes anymore. I spilled the beans to all her friends' husbands about how they greenlit this mess, and the aftermath's been wild. I threw out there that maybe they're all covering for each other, that my wife might just be the latest domino to fall. That sent them digging through their wives' phones. A couple of them found some flirty digital nonsense. Now all the husbands have put their foot down, their wives have cut my wife off, and they've ditched each other too. Was the BFFing on the flirty texts? You bet. Her husband's convinced she was absolutely an accomplice in action, and probably a pain in the rear too. He's still sniffing around for more. Quick update, my lawyer's tied up for a few days, so I'm stuck coexisting with my wife in the meantime. I was dreading going home and facing any kind of talk, especially about us. When I finally walked through the door, bam, ambushed by her crew and my mother-in-law. Instead of playing the we're sorry card, they went full-on attack mode, laying into me hard. The BFF was running the show, no doubt, but they all piled on with stuff like, she's been through heck and back, you can't fathom what she's endured, you've got no idea what it's like to stare down something this big. They kept saying it was a one-off, that I should be grateful she didn't sneak around behind my back. She's swearing she'll never see that guy again. Then came my favorite jab from her crew. You're a fool for dragging her through the mud these past few days. I stood there with a goofy, sarcastic grin, soaking it all in, and when they finally hit a quiet spot, I piped up, "You all done now?" I turned to my wife and asked if she'd left anyone out of her little gossip circle, anybody else she forgot to fill in on this mess. Calm as could be, I let her pals know I'd be having a sit-down with their husbands to spill how they'd been tearing into me, shaming me, and trying to bully me into sticking with someone who stepped out. I told him to hit the road, adding that since I had zero say in this whole fiasco, they don't get a vote on whether I stay either. My soon-to-be ex mumbled something like an apology, saying she wished the whole thing never happened. I shot back, "There's a big gap between regret and remorse, you know. You're just sorry cause of the fallout," I said. "Your life's flipped upside down, and that's why you're kicking yourself. Our marriage? Done for, not cause of some cosmic twist, but cause you didn't give a rip about me or what I wanted." She offered to answer any questions I had, no matter how messy they got. I told her I've only got one nagging why, not just why this guy, this scruffy, out-of-shape nobody, but why anybody at all. She explained that the cancer shook her to her bones. It felt like death was closing in fast, and clawing her way out of that darkness was a rush she couldn't resist. After years of playing the wife and mom gig, always putting family first, she said this was her little breakout moment, something just for her. A getaway, basically. This dude? Just some guy who'd been into her forever, a sure thing who wouldn't turn her down, and totally different from me. I told her, if I were gonna gamble our marriage, I'd at least pick someone who's a clear step up from you. I admitted I'd seen them that night, watched her stroll out of the bar, hand in hand with him, heading toward the hotel. "You two looked way too cozy," I said. "Was something brewing before all this?" She swore no, but who knows if she's leveling with me. I laid it out plain. After all our years together, her disrespect blew my mind. I wrapped it up by saying, if I let that kind of disrespect slide and stayed, I'd never be able to face myself in the mirror. Let's split clean and civil. I've got a lawyer meeting this week. I asked her again to find somewhere else to stay, and she just flat out said, "I'm not leaving." "No divorce," she insisted. "I'll give you all the time you need. Do whatever it takes to heal. We'll bounce back from this." She's been pushing marriage counseling, but I shut that down fast. Why would I need a shrink? I didn't do anything to land us here. I had her serve divorce papers and a notice to clear out. The house? Mine before we tied the knot. She's bunking with her mom now, but she keeps popping by checking if I need anything, floating wild ideas like letting me have an open relationship or even threesomes. It's starting to feel desperate and sad. I've been brushing her off, telling her to call first, and it's finally sinking in that us is off the table. She's threatened to stretch the divorce out as long as she can, but so far, she's playing along. The roughest part? Breaking it to my daughter that we're splitting and why. Right behind that is her pleading with me to give her mom another shot. If I'd been the one stepping out, I doubt I'd get the same leeway. Short version, some harsh words flew, but she's been served and moved out. Divorce is coming up, and I'm hoping mediation's fair so I don't get hosed. A few folks chimed in online, and I think it was just her gut reaction at first. These past few weeks, as it dawns on my daughter what's gone down, she's getting more ticked off at her mom. Man, I was head over heels for my wife. Me and plenty of others thought she was a knockout. Think Raquel Welch vibes. But now, finding out she went solo with that fling? She's like a stranger I can't even stomach looking at anymore. No counseling's gonna fix how I see her now. Something had to be brewing before that hotel stunt. There's no way she just up and decided in a few days to zero in on that guy and step out. It's a breeze for women to find someone if they want to. Maybe they had some kind of emotional thing going on already, and this was just the big finale. Honestly, I don't know, and I don't really care unless it gives me an edge in the divorce. From what I've heard, her whole friend crew's ditched her. They're scrambling to patch up their own marriages, turning on each other like a pack of wild dogs. Now that she's out of the house, is she showing any real remorse? Or does she still think I should just suck it up and move on? Going no contact with her should be a cinch since our daughter's grown. What wild moves has she pulled that I haven't spilled yet? She kept this cool, stubborn front right up until the papers hit her hands. Then it was all pleading and deal-making. No waterworks, no big breakdown, though. "Sorry you're dealing with this," folks have said. How can she not see the wreckage she's left me in? This whole saga's been like some bizarre fever dream, start to finish. It's almost like she's been on some manic high. Splitting up's the right call, hands down. Hate to say it, but I don't see any love left in her. You've held on to your dignity, though, and picked the solid path. Look after yourself. Yeah, there's been plenty of tears and bargaining after the fact, but it feels more like a show than the real deal. Maybe she fell out of love ages ago, and now she's just kicking herself for where she's landed. She's still a looker, guys will line up to date her, no doubt, but I'm not signing up for that ride again. Man, she had some nerve, acting like she had me in her pocket with that poker face. Way too cocky. If I ever felt like going full scorched earth, I could drop the affair bombshell to her coworkers. That'd stir up a mess, I bet. Thing is, I want her working so I don't get stuck with alimony, even if she's in between gigs right now. There's this lady at her job who's always given me flirty vibes. Maybe I'll ask her out once this is all behind me. That'd be a twist worth watching. Final update here, not much new to share. We're chugging along with the divorce, but where we live, we've got to be legally separated for a full year first. My soon-to-be ex keeps dangling a carrot, saying she'll give me whatever I want in the split if I'll just try marriage counseling. I'm not biting, though. We've had some back and forth figuring out what separation looks like day to day. Just now, we've nailed down the rules of this legal limbo. As we hammer out the divorce terms, I might soften up, who knows? The house was mine before we got hitched, so she can't touch it. She could try for my pension, cars, or the vacation spot, but I'd argue she's had 22 years rent-free, plus her own cash and her dad's inheritance. I might toss in a little extra for her retirement since she stayed home when our daughter was little, but that's the max I'd budge right now. Folks have pinged me a bunch about her friends and my daughter, so let me set the record straight. My daughter's not team mom here. She's always been super tight with her, but she's pretty steamed about this mess. At first, she was just floored and held on to some hope we'd patch things up and stick together. Now that she's accepted that's not happening, she's been keeping her mom at arm's length, still her mom, though, you know? The husbands in that friend group were ticked about how much their wives propped up this cheating mess and made them drop my wife. That's faded a bit now, though. The BFF? Total ringleader, she got some weird thrill out of setting up chances for contact, egging her on so much that her own husband's questioning what she's really up to. Turns out, she didn't even like me, she just wanted to twist the knife, and I guess she's got the upper hand now. The BFF's husband mentioned he found some flirty texts on his wife's phone, but he's handling it his way. We grabbed a coffee together, and he was all apologies for his wife's role in this mess, not his fault, though, and I just want to put it behind me. I've sworn off dating for a while. Marriage? Never again, not for me. So that's the wrap-up. Unless she hits the jackpot and I somehow find it in me to let it go, I doubt I'll pop back here with more. A few thoughts from folks online hit the nail on the head. Skip the couples counseling, they say. Sure, it can help sometimes, but here's the kicker. When you sit down with a marriage counselor, the patient is the marriage itself. Thing is, our marriage wasn't the problem. The issue was all her. If she's smart, she'll stick with her own therapy, and maybe I'd tag along for a session now, and then if I'm feeling up to it. But she's the one who needs fixing. Don't let some shrink spin this into we both messed up nonsense. I know exactly what went down. I saw how little she cared about my feelings, how she tossed our marriage in the trash like it was nothing. I laid it out crystal clear. I wouldn't stand for her hooking up with that guy, and she went ahead anyway. This wasn't some mix-up we could talk out. It was her flat out ignoring me. I didn't even register on her radar. She's got the rest of her life to chew on that. Me? I'm living my way from here on out, and it feels like I'm finally on the right track. That's dead on how I see it. I didn't screw up here. I didn't shift gears or drop the ball. If we tried fixing this, I'd be the one bending over backwards or getting twisted into knots. Man, this whole deal's a mess. Up until I shot down her hall pass, she was playing it cool, handling things like a pro. Cancer can rattle folks, no doubt push M to act on impulse in wild ways. But to go from, I'm asking to, I'm doing it anyway? That's next level nuts. She's got some deep stuff to sort out. She set a boundary, asked me if she could cross it, got a hard no, then stomped over it anyway, and now she's shocked at the fallout I warned her about? I can't imagine ever patching that up. That's how I felt from the jump. At least she opened up, shared her feelings, and asked what I thought. But then she bulldozed right over my stance, tried strong-arming me, and doubled down with that attitude. That's what lit the fuse on this disaster. I get that she had a little crush. What I don't get is how she was fine shoving me into the backup guy slot while she chased it. Talk to your lawyer before you nix counseling outright, some say. If it could tilt things in my favor, maybe I'd stomach a handful of sessions, 4 to 7 tops. I can spend the time laying it all out. How she repulses me now. How I've got zero respect left after she trashed our vows. How the thought of touching her after that dumpy little fling makes me queasy. She'd get the hint. There's no road back. Has she ever shown real remorse? Or even regret? All I remember is her hammering that I'd get over it. Like this was just a tiny oopsie I should shrug off. That mindset? Pure fantasy land. My lawyer's take is to play nice and snag what I want. I've got time on my side, and she's getting antsy now that I've gone silent since we locked in the separation terms. Maybe I'll loop back eventually. For now, I'm soaking up the calm and quiet. Big thanks to y'all for sticking with me to the end. If you've enjoyed this ride, hit that like button, share it around, and subscribe for more. Catch you later. Have a great day.